I'm not sure yet. All right, let's see. All right, we're on.
Yo.
What's going on, everybody? We are new and improved this time. We had a little bit of a hardware upgrade, which is leading to a little bit of a improvement with the software, and that's why I'm taking the reins back this time. I probably won't be as good at switching in between things as my boy DJ Tom Hanks, but I'll give it my best shot.
All I see is the selection panel on the screen share, like for picking the I'm talking about.
I'm trying to work about getting everything switched up so people can see. All right.
Sorry, people. Can I see your?
I think we're good. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. You see that? Look at that seamless switching. There's a.
No, I just see. that's the screen. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Cool.
I think we're ready to roll. I think we have plenty of stories to go ahead and get to. There's a trending event that I think we should go ahead and lead off with, because the Chuds are engaging in a little bit of misinformation, which I know surprises all of us because they're known for their integrity.
That's the only thing they do. They bullshit about everything because they can't tell the truth, man. They're everything they stand for, everything that they are about is directly antithetical to the vast majority of the country's better interests. So they have to lie. The libs do it too, which is frustrating because they don't have to do it. They could just be decent, but they lie because they think it's more salacious or whatever it is, and it just ends up, an arms race. Because then these guys are they justify it by saying, oh, well, they lied about this. Like they said that, President Trump did this, blah, blah, blah. And because
the libs do their share of, I guess I would call it more a hyperbole than just straight up bullshit narratives. Like this one today. All right, so why don't we just go ahead and talk and get into a little bit of what we're talking about here. So, all right, let's see. So here we go.
The article?
Yeah, we'll start with the tweet and then we'll go with the article.
I mean, I think it's crazy for the cops to come out and clear Antifa of any wrongdoing, right?
Yeah. So I got
that's a huge deal, especially because what they just did to those PSL organizers a few weeks ago. They went and chased down these protesters, these organizers, weeks or months after the fact. This is traced back to an event that was in July, and they went and arrested these guys the other day for kidnapping. The kidnapping charge because they encircled the police precinct.
Well, so we'll lead off with this tweet that you can see it, right, Matt?
Yeah.
All right. So Will Sommer, he went ahead and put this one out. So here's how disinformation spread. Someone is shot at a rally in Denver. Various right-wing personalities instantly claim Antifa did it and rack up thousands of retweets. The police say the suspect wasn't connected to Antifa, but that gets a fraction of the attention. So let's see if we can go through a couple of these. Antifa just shot and killed another Trump supporter, this time in Denver. Tell real Donald Trump it's past time to designate Antifa as an international terrorist organization.
Again, not an organization.
Mr. Blue Checkmark Raheem Kassam, I guess.
This guy has a blue checkmark and he does shit like that?
Blue checkmark.
Holy fuck. Who is that guy? Click on his profile.
Oh, these are screenshots, so let's go through these other dude. This dude, we'll probably have to talk about him in another show if we get to.
In history books, they're gonna Andy No is gonna be like a major historical figure, and it's gonna be all terrible shit, right? Like he's single-handedly I would say nearly single-handedly created this, right-wing psycho narrative about, Antifa terrorist, right? It's
Yes.
him just misrepresenting shit, editing stuff, and he gets caught doing it all the time. Like at least once a week, he's caught like blatantly doctoring footage, and it doesn't, it hasn't affected anything. He gets he testifies before Congress and shit. It's like it's all connected too. Like this comes back into that Lindsey Graham story we're going to talk about later too. But if you're seeing the right things, anybody can get away with murder, right? Figuratively, not actual murder, but probably that too.
Well, kind of.
If you're backing up the ruling class's narrative.
Well, because now if they put out this narrative of, hey, Antifa is shooting our people, who's to say that someone's not going to get shot out there doing protests, right?
Just from looking at this picture, you can tell the guy with the guns doesn't look like Antifa. So it's
he looks like a security guard.
Yeah,
looks like a freaking rent-a-cop. What are we talking about?
It's like he's a literal Pinkerton. Literally works for Pinkerton. And Andy knows this. He can tell from looking at it.
All right, so
him more than anybody knows the character of these people. The counter protesters. All
right. So here we go. It appears as though far left Antifa radical just shot and killed a Trump supporter. The shooter in Denver was a left-wing protester.
At least my man Paul Joseph says it appears. Compare that to motherfucking Chong, who just goes, says it definitively with no evidence whatsoever, and a lot of evidence to the contrary. Let me go look at his page and see if he's said anything different yet.
And we have Denver police finally came out and clarified the situation. And they determined.
Damage done, though. You're going to get into the thing with Erica, but damage is already done. People are already being doxxed and hunted down and shit.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about with retaliatory doxing efforts, essentially, right?
They don't have to prove it in court, and they know that. They just have to put out enough, because these fuckers, the right is so desperate these days for anything that backs up their narrative that they will run with whatever it is, no matter how absurd it is. They'll take that and make that the narrative and spread it around, and they get this shit on Fox News. So then everybody who's watching it says, "Oh, Antifa shot somebody." They just run with this bullshit narrative, no matter how little evidence there is. It's just the problem with that is that we don't have an opposition party who will fight back against this, right? If we had, if Bernie Sanders was president, or if the Democrats were an actual labor party,
right,
they would say this kind of shit would be shut down. They'd be having meetings in Congress about disinformation on the right. But instead we have the fucking, they just bury themselves deeper in the same pit of misinformation with Russiagate and all the bullshit they say about that kind of thing. So they have no credibility,
Right. So let's see what else we can go into here. So here is an updated story about the Denver shooting. There was one person in custody, a Pinkerton security guard hired by 9 News. One person is dead. The TV station has for months hired private security for reporting teams covering protests, which, between having cops shoot at you and having all these people out there macing people, as you can see from the photo, I can't really blame anybody.
I'm looking at his page now. It looks like the guy with the mace slapped him. He was macing them.
Does he really paywall me? Okay.
The right wing protester.
Yeah, completely paywalled me. All right, wait a minute. All right, there we go. All right, so here we go. A shooting Saturday afternoon in Denver amid chaotic political protests left the man dead, and police have taken a security guard working for a television station into custody as a suspect. The Denver police said the shooting happened about 3:30 p.m. near the intersection of West 14th Avenue and Broadway, just outside of the Denver Art Museum. It is being investigated as a homicide. Investigators said initially 2 people had been arrested in connection with the shooting, but then revised their statement. They say the suspect they have in custody is a private security guard. The department said the suspect has no connection to Antifa groups. This is the cops saying this. The cops are saying...
The guy who got shot, it's clear from looking at this, the right-wing protester, or whatever you want to call him, the insurrectionist, the terrorist, was macing the news team, right? The photojournalist, they called him. He was macing them, and then he slapped the guy, and that's when he got shot. Like, he put hands on them. I mean, maybe that's not justification for using lethal force. Like,
no, I mean, that's what they say about, but that's what they...
saying. Flip it.
Yeah, that's what
they were already saying.
You're like, oh, he had it coming. Why did he resist? Why what happens when you shoot at a cop?
The victim slapped the shooter, at which point the shooter aimed his gun and cocked it. The victim and shooter used the mace, fired the gun at the same time. This was all happening while the guy in the Black Guns Matter shirt was agitating the crowd. The shooter likely tried to intervene somehow and got slapped as a result, at which point the rest happened. The shooter and got slapped. So he's saying the shooter started it, which, getting slapped is not justification for shooting someone in the head. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. But like we just said, they have taken much, much less provocation as grounds to shoot somebody. Like, Kyle Rittenhouse thing, just having a gun, one of the guys he shot, just having a gun was enough for Rittenhouse to shoot him. Right?
Exactly. And it's exactly what you're saying too. If the shoe's on the other foot, you'd see this being justified by the same people trying to tweet out that Antifa did whatever this was. And, I mean, let me go back to the pictures because, I mean, they're right on here. So, yeah.
Especially considering...
Let me clear this off. Oh, wrong that one, not that one.
Here's a video.
How do I... which is the video?
Hold on. Let me bookmark it.
Show me that! Show me, motherfucker! Show me that, nigga! Don't fucking touch me! Touch me one more time, you gonna get it! Next person to fucking touch me! Mace him! Fucking mace me, brother! Walk up to me and fucking mace me, nigga! Mace me, motherfucker! Mace me, motherfucker! I got the mace me,
why are you using racial slurs?
Did you bookmark it?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me pull it up because so that way everybody can see. All right, ready?
Show me, motherfucker! Show me that, nigga!
He calls this agitating the crowd. The guy fucking touched him and he's saying, "Get out of my face."
Show me, motherfucker! Show me that, nigga!
Oh.
Touch me one more time,
Happened behind him. So the one guy goes over to start fucking with the journalist. So you hear the mace, and then you hear the crack of the gun. Fucking
Right.
Chung is sitting there trying to say it happened at the same time. You clearly hear the mace, and then the gun go off. Like, it's not... It's not even...
Don't fucking touch me, old man. Don't fucking touch me, man.
I hate dealing with people like this. Like, as if the alternative facts wasn't enough. It's like they're straight up lying, and it's directly we're watching it happen, and they're still lying about it. It's like,
Oh!
looks like murder to me. Looks like murder. What are you talking about, murder? You couldn't see it. How could you say that? Like, you hear the mace,
Show me,
right?
motherfucker!
Like,
Show me that, nigga!
they're gonna try to say that like the security guard was Antifa or something. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna clear that off.
it's like this should send a message though. Stop fucking bringing mace to protests.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, what
Like,
the fuck are these people? Who are these people? They think they could just go around macing people?
Clearly provoking the team from the news channel, right? Like, the news channel, they hire people to do this because they're harassed when they bring people, and it's like, maybe they're getting some harassment from the left-wing protesters, but the left doesn't hate the media like the right does, right? Like, they should, but they don't, right?
Yeah.
These
Well,
people are gonna make this like an anti-media thing.
yeah, I mean, like, check out this tweet just to go back into the point again. I mean,
So they're focusing on his tattoo.
so right here, right winger Mace's security guard gets shot and killed. Right wing idiots on Twitter said it was Antifa. Denver police confirm guard has no connection to Antifa. Right wing idiots on Twitter still try to link it to Antifa.
They're still doing it though. It's like, why am I having a gut feeling this was all premeditated? In a normal scenario, people would run away from gunshot, not stay there and move towards it. Blank. I mean, I don't know what that thing means. It's like you see it happen in front of you. I don't know how to argue with anything like that because you can see it unfold in front of you.
Right.
The guy clearly went over there and started fucking with them and pulled out his mace, sprayed the mace, and then got shot. Like,
that's the second time somebody goes out there in the middle of a protest and then gets shot. Last time by a left winger, this time by a security guard.
Video of shooter walking up to the scene prior to the incident. Which one is this?
I mean, well, if anybody's who hasn't been on Twitter lately hasn't seen what the new thing is going around, there were people been tweeting out this kind of format, which is how it started, how it ended. So, Mr. Grifter himself, Tim Pohl, went ahead and shared this out. Alleged Antifa militant shoots and kills conservative at Patriot rally in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have the Denver tweet from the PD. This is from PD. So, we're not over here trying to go ahead and say this is somebody that's going to give a left winger or any kind of quarter or any favorable sort of point of view, right? I mean, that's not. I mean, I'm sure that nobody out there is that.
See the reflection in the victim's sunglasses. Yeah, he's pointing the gun at the guy and saying, "Don't fucking do it, bro." And then the dude sprays the mace and he gets shot. Like, he's trying to make it seem like he's trying to make it seem like it's some sort of premeditated thing and not like clearly defending themselves.
Okay, so I guess
the
I guess the question here is shooting somebody an appropriate response to getting maced?
No, it's not. But like, he's a security guard. Like, cops are violent. People who do that job are psychos. You know, what do you expect? You can't. It's like we've been having this discussion all year about the cops and they're being quick to resort to violence. I don't think it's right either.
And I think you're consistent on that. If whether it's one person or another, if mace on a cop, on a security guard, you don't think deadly force is the appropriate response to that. But I guarantee you, on the right, if you gave them two scenarios, and
like, they're trying to compare this scene of like a security guard previously, like busting up a scene, and it's like, yeah, in that situation, he pointed his gun at them, and the people ran off. Like, generally, when you point your gun at somebody, they back down. Like, you can't, if somebody's pointing their gun at you, telling you stop aggressing, and they continue aggressing, it's like, fuck around and find out. Like, I don't want to say he deserved it, but like,
kind of,
I mean,
it's not kind of like he deserved it. I wouldn't say deserved it, but I think he didn't help himself.
Is legit,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that if somebody gets shot after they mace somebody, and I think you have a pretty good case that you're defending yourself at that point, right? So,
yeah.
So I mean, but just to, I mean, we're gonna go. We were gonna go into this tweet.
It's almost as if you shouldn't bring bear mace to a protest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, maybe you shouldn't go around. This is the second time it happened. So, I mean, what can you? So, I mean, if you think
Yeah,
that
the guy in Portland too. Exactly. Last
that's
time
exactly what
it was
happened
the same
too.
thing. You see the mace go off, and then you hear the bullet. It's like if you mace somebody, you can expect to be shot. I guess
Hmm.
is the standard we have here, and that guy didn't get a chance, right? Like luckily this guy
Yeah,
was taken into custody, and he's not going to be shot on the street by some psycho cop. I mean, I'm sure that they're treating him like shit, but like
I mean, well, I mean, is this like does this kind of go into both camps a little bit? I guess because I mean we're talking about um, and we're talking about blue lives on blue lives. We got blue on blue crime here.
Yeah, no, the right is trying to frame it like it's a media guy who did the shooting. And
Rather than
I think
a
the
security
rational
guard.
point of
'Cause,
view is it's a security guard
I mean,
who's
it's
a rent-a-cop. He's a Pinkerton. That's what
yes.
they are. Like I don't know what else, I don't know how else you would phrase that, right? Like security guards are cops, The fucking guy they keep talking about, the David Dorn guy, right?
Right.
He was a security guard, right? Like that's
Hmm.
their martyr. It's how funny that the security guard is their martyr when it's convenient for them, and he's a piece of shit like liberal media when he's not, right? Fucking scumbags, man.
Yeah,
I hate
I'm trying to
holy
find
shit.
that tweet from before about Erica. I think that we had seen on here, right?
Um, what?
Yeah, because they had shown on here that after the shooting, right, that they went ahead and doxed her. I think.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We need to get her on the show, man.
Yeah, we was hoping to get her on this week, but I
I don't
guess
know what
something.
happened.
Yeah, I guess something came up,
No.
but um,
Uh,
here we go. Let me look this up again really fast. So, here we go. I mean, I'm sure if she's tweeting out, then it's fine to go ahead and share stuff, even though she's getting doxed around a little bit. But she put out this tweet in response to the whole incident in Denver, which I mean isn't entirely accurate because I mean we did just go over that this is a security guard that ended up doing the shooting, but when the dynamic out here is that right wingers are going to come out and think they can mace us, intimidate us with their weapons, and nothing is going to happen to them, and we're just going to go and accept corralling us for cops and doing all kinds of bullshit and the like. No, if anybody, just like the dude in Portland, if he decides to stand his ground in that way, I think he's well within his rights to do that.
I mean, yeah, I don't think yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he should beat whatever kind of case they bring against him. I think legally it's a legitimate self-defense, right? Just like the guy in Portland. But I don't.
But yeah, just to go
that
and
not to happen.
but
It's not like we want them to die. Like they want us to die, and they openly say it. They talk about it all the time, right? They talk about like killing communists and shit like that. Like they're open about it. We're not. None of us say that. None of us talk about killing anybody.
So yeah, I mean here you can see what the retaliation was, or the ire, I guess, or whatever it is what the right wing started doing.
And what did she say? She said what provoked them?
I'm not sure. It had to have been that tweet because that's the only reason it would pop up at the.
I can't see it. What was her original tweet?
The fuck around and find out one, right?
What did she say? Just fuck around and find out?
Yeah, look, let me go back and pull it up again. All right, so let's see. Can you see that there? Oh wait, hold on.
Oh. heard, what's it saying?
I'll zoom in. You got it?
Yeah, there's some shit at the top now. It's in the way. When you stop moving it, it'll. There we go. The shooting in Denver and a right-winger attacked an anti-fascist and a right-winger found out. Stand your ground. I mean, I wouldn't tweet that. I mean, I would just say, but like we saw with them, it's like it's important that we control the narrative, or not control the narrative, but at least make sure they're not the only voice in the mix spreading lies, right?
Yeah. So let's go through what happened here a little bit. So
she said that, and then they immediately doxed her and talking about going and killing her fucking baby. What a psycho! Who would say that?
Yeah, I mean, look, as you can see from the first tweet here, here's a better picture for everyone. Hopefully, Twitter does its thing. Is that her? 4chan seems to have found the bitch's address. If I was desperate, I might take a drive and kill her kid. Let her child pay for her sins.
Yeah. What kind of fucking maniac would say that? It's I can't even.
Yeah, I mean it's completely it's completely off the wall. I mean, I don't know who thinks that way. I mean, talking about killing an infant, and they're supposed to be. I mean, and I guess if you ask them, they'd probably be pro-life, right? So they're
sure
totally against killing babies, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna be able to recite to you how many babies are killed every year by leftists with abortion rights.
Yeah, exactly. And they're sitting there. It's just like it's so frustrating though, because it's like it's there. It's obvious what's happening. Like it's obvious that they're so hypocritical, but nobody fucking cares. Nobody changes their mind. Like these people have no scruples. They're fucking psychos, man. They're really dangerous. And like I've said the other night, Biden might win, right? Because Trump is just historically terrible.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be a repeat of what happened during Obama, when you have, bullshit liberals pretending that they're doing change, and they mostly just provoke people with symbolic, nonsense, symbolic, empty symbolism. All it ends up doing is just causing a backlash that's, the benefit that people are getting from the I don't even want to call it woke, because it was pre-woke, right? I mean, that's just a lot of racism, right? Just people didn't powerful black guy. Some people I guess didn't like that, but the backlash it provoked, I think, was more from the Republicans sort of obstructing everything, right? They made it so that the government was gridlocked, nothing could change, nothing could improve, and then blamed everything on the Democrats, who weren't doing a good job anyway. It's I keep coming back to the same thing. It's if they did one thing, if we had Medicare for all, right? The Democrats fought hard and got it passed. Or if we had, maybe not free college, because I feel like they would still find a way to hate free college,
Yeah.
Even if we decided not to increase the military budget next year and took that money and instead,
I'm telling you, I think Medicare for all and maybe raising the minimum wage might be the most impactful. Or UBI, that one might hit home. But
if they just did one New Deal type policy, one progressive policy that was just definitively a good policy, definitively help people, right? I think it would go a long way towards breaking this sort of tension, this spell people are under, this far right propaganda spell that so many of these people seem to be under, right? We've got the kidnapping the other night, or the attempted kidnapping. We got this shit tonight. There's always something with these jackasses, and it's you're not disproving them by electing Joe Biden, right? He's not going to show that they were wrong.
No,
right?
They're going to come back the next time around even more radicalized, and probably even more of them,
exactly.
And ready for the next demagogue.
Yeah.
But all right, let's go on to our next story. This one's difficult. I think a little more difficult for me to go into. than Matt. So I'll just go ahead and say that my takes on this are not going to be as level-headed. So take that in when you watch this, because we really came away with a different reaction from this, and I think there was a pretty good discussion that we had on there, and a few. We see, who did we have that was let me see.
Tony supports mass incarceration. Matt doesn't.
I mean, I'll say, I think that's kind of, I think, look, if we had a certain kind of mass incarceration, I think that it would have gone down a little bit. But at Peaceful Salmon 1, I also got into the conversation a little bit. And
she's one of our fans. She likes our shit.
Yeah,
we
tried
to get
nice.
her on to come argue with us, but...
I think it would have been a 2-on-1 in that situation, bro. But okay, so anyway, so there was a lady. I think they said, where was it, in Chicago?
Was it in Chicago? No, there was palm trees everywhere. I think it was Southern California.
All right, so it was probably SoCal then. So in SoCal, that
you want to play the video?
Well, I'll show the video, but yeah, I was just gonna give it a little bit of background. Well, you'll see what she does. She approaches this dude.
Don't color anybody's interpretations, you know.
Well, look, she approaches the dude, stands in front of him for a little while, and you can see what happens for yourself. But okay, here we go. Well, not that one.
Why you holding the dog like that?
What? Hobson? Hobson's your bitch.
Bro, you got me in the middle of the street, bro.
You know Hobson thinks it's funny that
Hobson?
you're a loser.
Don't nobody listen to fucking Hobson.
Oh, they don't?
Are you off crack?
Are you on Notorious Food?
Back up. See these rings, nigga? I'm rich. Exactly.
What do you have? Love in your life? If I took your mom and
for
your
real,
sister and your brother, do they really love you?
Listen, I feel
If I
bad
really
for
took
you.
your sister and your mother and your brother,
Whoa.
do they really
Back
love
up.
you?
Back up.
If I really did that, do they really
What
love
are you
you?
talking about? Let me get
That's
back
all
in my
you're saying.
car, bro.
It's called the mafia. It's called the military of the United States of America. You're black.
What'd you just say?
So you're black.
So what?
Exactly.
So what if I'm fucking black? What's up?
So what if I'm fucking
Whoa.
white?
I didn't say nothing about race, you racist bitch.
So what if you're from
You're the one
California
bringing up
and I'm
fucking
not?
race. I'm not from fucking California.
So where are you
What's up?
from?
It doesn't matter. What's up? What do you want to do?
Utah?
What the fuck is wrong with you? Back up, bro.
Back up, bro.
Fucking
What is your
weirdo.
nasty?
Gee. Gee, what are you doing? Who are you?
I don't have an identity.
Why are you pulling up on me like this?
Do you look like I have
Where
an
did you come
identity?
from? The fuck?
Do you look like you have an identity in the Illuminati?
Bro, if you was a dude...
Really, you're Mercedes. That means a lot. Do you really want to be worth more than Mercedes or not?
Is that your dog? What the fuck? Come here. Get the fuck out of here, you dumb bitch. Whoa, back up. This is not your fucking dog. This is not your dog no more. I got a video of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
What's your name?
You going to jail, bitch.
I'm going to jail. I have a mental health record.
I don't give a fuck what you
I've been mental
have.
health record since I was
Stop
little.
touching me, bro. Back up.
What's your name?
It don't matter.
Exactly, it don't matter. Did you steal my dog?
So, see, pretty tough stuff to watch there, Matt.
Yeah, no, I'm grossed out by it too. I didn't even watch. Like, I just...
Oh yeah, so I had to full screen it and see that shit again, bro. Oh man.
Yeah, why were you watching?
Well, because I have to, because I'm putting the video up for everybody. But
yeah,
man,
no, I don't think what she did is not bad. I think
it's
we
fucking
jail people
horrible,
way
man.
too much.
All right, so
like, People don't belong in jail unless they're a threat to society. I think if you treat somebody's mental health problems and you treat their addiction problems, which it's one or the other, like I think, to me it looked like had been up all night doing meth and was like wandering around in a stupor, like, barely coherent, barely aware of where she was. Like she was not making any sense. None of the stuff she was saying, right? Like,
no, I mean, it
talking
sounded
complete
borderline
nonsense.
racist too.
I don't know though. Like I know that was to try to I know people jump to that interpretation right away because that's where we usually see these videos of like a Karen doing something racist.
Which I would still qualify her as meth Karen.
That's valid. But like, I honestly thought it was like if she wanted to be racist, she would have been able to be racist even in that state. Like I think she was trying to make a point about like the dynamic, like, black man, white woman, but she was too fucking high to do it, right? So I don't think I would jump to that conclusion, right? It might be easier for me to say she belongs in jail if I thought she was racist,
Yeah.
Which says a lot about me, I feel like. I mean, I guess that says a lot about the situation, though, because if somebody's a racist, right?
Well, what was she harassing him in the
hatred in their heart?
Because let's
I'm saying, I think she was fucking posted.
But
you know what I'm saying?
But I think she approached him because he's a black dude, and that had some reason for why she was there in the first place. I think
she
that's
was probably trying to flirt with him.
I don't think
and
so.
She was too fucked up.
I don't think so because she looked very adversarial
you can't
to
say,
the dude.
Yeah, but I mean that doesn't make her a racist, though.
And but the other part of it is she's blocking his path. He kept trying to leave, and the way she was, kind of just moving all crazy like that. I mean, in that situation, he's trying to show restraint, which he did, which is remarkable that anybody in that situation could hold back, and in the end, it's probably for the best that he did because. If he would have smacked the shit out of her, that would have ended up worse for him than her.
Of course, yeah.
So that's one part of it. But okay, so the part with the dog, man. So the first thing is you can see that she's holding the dog in a really fucked up way to begin with, while she's doing all her crazy eye bullshit and
gesticulating.
Yeah, and when he mentioned the dog, and then you can see the dog like looking over at him like, save my ass, get me out of here, this bitch is crazy, she's gonna so if it turned out that she was abusing the puppy beforehand, it wouldn't surprise me either. So on drugs, whatever it is, I mean, I think that would be that's a reasonable,
like, holding the puppy weird when you're fucked up and arguing with somebody is not. I don't think that gives you any indication that they're.
But like if you take all this stuff in together for what she ended up doing, which was throwing the poor freaking thing at this dude, and you just hear the puppy cry and run towards him for the safety. This is a total stranger.
I mean, it looked to me like that wasn't her puppy. It looked to me like she had just found this random puppy. Because, like I said,
but
it didn't have any tags or anything, right?
Right? No, I mean, I'm sure she probably wasn't worried about getting the puppy chipped, exactly. But I mean, Matt, look, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. You're playing very much into the whole idea of rehabilitation in regards to punishment, right? And I think when you're juxtaposing things, and you're making a really good point about the whole over policing angle, but what I was talking about was half jokingly, but I think if our prison systems was made up of a bunch of animal abusers and people that chuck puppies as opposed to low level drug offenders, I think that there would be at least better PR for the criminal justice system. If it was one or the other,
yeah. If it was one or the other, I'd rather have the puppy herders in jail, but I don't want either of them in jail. And I only want the sickest motherfuckers we have in jail, people who can't be rehabilitated.
Yeah, and I think for me, there's the other reasons I would want her at least to go and get arrested and locked up in something for a while. I mean, one is because it's just you have to do. There has to be some kind of retribution, and that's what the argument was that you were getting with online from me. And then the other part of it was, you have to have some kind of method of deterrence. And I mean, and at some point or another, if she is a danger to others or to animals in that sense that are defenseless, then you have to incapacitate them, at least until she's in a better and clear mental state. Now, if that's hospitalizing in some sort of way that that this person is a danger to society, then that's at least some kind of middle ground. But I don't think that this woman should just be rehabbed and be allowed to just walk free. I think she still should be held accountable to some extent for what her actions were, And thankfully the puppy wasn't seriously hurt. I mean, I hope that they were still able to take him to a vet to make sure that she was okay, but that easily could have gone south. And I think that, just for nothing else, but I think that puppy deserves some level of justice, let's say.
But I think that I said it in one point in here, but it's like we don't have the same societal. We don't place the same societal value on pets that we do people, right? I think Pippi's argument was that they should be treated the same. If you hit a dog, it's the same as hitting a kid. But we can't ask people to have that same. We can't ask people to have that same mentality when we haven't instilled that value in anybody, right? We haven't. Society's not trained to they're not trained to treat those things the same way. You can't expect them to, right? So there's that, right? So it's already looked at as a lesser, a lesser being or whatever, right? So having, I'm not trying to justify her behavior at all, right? I think it was completely fucked up. So there's two things going on here, right? It's the mental health addiction angle, which frankly I don't think that really matters, right? Doesn't matter. When you're a drug addict, I think you're mentally ill, right? At least that was my experience. When I was with addiction years ago, it makes you crazy. It makes you do crazy things. The example I'm thinking of is you do, if I picked a fight with my friends, right?
Yeah.
And did something violent like that, right? That is, and I did it purely because I was crazy on drugs, right? And if I had gone to jail for that, it would have been immensely, it would have been counterproductive as a whole. It wouldn't have made me better, right? I still would have had the same problems. I would have been a drain on society. It would have been costing however much money to keep me locked up. I would have been, we see in the evidence, our carceral system doesn't work. It just makes problems worse, right? So we shouldn't be looked at as some way to rehabilitate anybody, right? It should be looked at as a last resort to put people who are a threat to society, right? I
think that kind of behavior with animal abuse, it's still a little bit of, you're still somewhat of a threat to society. And even if
we can't put the puppy's life on the same playing field as a human. Even if that's the case and we think that's true, we didn't raise anybody that way, right? So we can't have that same standard, right? And then on top of that, so if she's a threat to society because she might hurt a puppy at some point in the future, you can't have that standard for, we would have even more people in jail, right? If anybody who's ever hurt an animal
I think if we
fucked up.
I think somebody that does hurt an animal is kind of fucked up. But if we, like I said,
they don't belong in jail, though. Is what I'm saying. It's fucked up, and they need mental health care, right? But they shouldn't be in jail, locked away. That jail, my idea is jail is only for the worst of the worst. People who are going to be a threat to their neighbors if they're not in jail. And I think that's a silly, if you try to make the argument that she's a threat to her neighbors when she's not high and her mental health care is taken care of, that's silly.
Right, but the other part of it is I don't think you should not be held at least to somewhat of account and just have to say I was on drugs and I was in a fucked up mental state and say that I don't own any of my actions and I shouldn't be like if somebody hurt somebody or hurt
things you can do like mandatory rehab, like outpatient rehab, AA meetings. There's plenty of
padded cell,
community service. Right?
Release the hounds.
There's plenty of things we can do that'll also be good for society, like community service. Like she should have to work at the ASPCA shoveling dog shit or something. Stuff like that would actually improve other people's lives and probably improve her life too, right? She would probably grow in that situation, and she certainly needs some sort of help, some sort of treatment, right? Like I'm saying,
no, I agree.
I've done all kinds of crazy shit in that state, right?
But have you done something that fucked up?
I've never
like whooped the puppy's ass.
No, but I've fought my friends, which if you're using that same standard, like hurting a puppy is the same as hurting a person. Then I've done violent things.
I guess look at the difference with that. I mean, is there's an extra level of vulnerability when it comes to animals, especially small animals that are you are able to hold up in your arms like that, and they are entirely dependent on you to continue living. You make a bad decision, then you could actually kill the thing if you decide to do that. So for
she shouldn't be able to own pets, for 10 years or whatever. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, but I'd also say, and look, the puppy's okay.
You want to put her in jail with rapists and murderers for the puppy didn't even have to go to the vet.
I mean, maybe not. I wouldn't say like prison, but maybe detained for.
Yeah, but do you think that? I mean, knowing what we know about
jail, in all seriousness, I wouldn't be upset if she spent like 2 weeks in the clink.
But that's what I'm saying. She will just come out a worse person with the same problem she had when she went in, and no kind of personal growth, and it's not. She's
at least 2 weeks of some kind of inpatient rehab facility, something like that.
I was going to say you should have 48-hour detox and then outpatient. Every day for 28 days, I think is the standard they go with now.
Yeah.
So if you have to go to outpatient every day,
I would just keep her confined for a little bit. But anyway, let's go to the happy part of this story. Is you saw
we're never going to solve mass incarceration if we're locking people up for shit like that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with
can't say abolish the police, abolish prisons.
Yeah, but we can go ahead and direct criminal justice to go ahead and affect and address things that probably should be addressed. If that's why I give you the example, if our system of justice was aimed towards people that actually hurt people, or this was the dog was okay here, but I'm saying if there was a psycho going around murdering people's pets or some crazy bullshit like that.
Yeah, that's not the same thing, though.
But but what I'm saying is,
say that person belongs in jail. No, but running around serial murdering pets.
Right. So what I was getting at is if we had a system that prioritized punishing people like that, as opposed to how things have gotten with mass incarceration and punishing low-level drug offenders and have putting draconian penalties on so many frivolous bullshit things that you could objectively look at and be like, what the hell are these people in prison for? It's a lot harder to go and say, all right, this person went to jail for a week because they threw a puppy and they fucked up somebody. It's a lot harder to go and say that, okay, that person probably should just chill up in jail for a little bit because that was fucked up.
I know, but they're not improving anything, though. That's what I'm saying.
That is a more effective use of the criminal justice system as it is.
I mean, if it's drug dealers or puppy herders, then if it's one or the other, but neither of them should be in jail.
And see, that's where I'm coming down on it. But look, let's go ahead and play This is the resolution of our puppy story. Let's see if I could get this up here.
A few hours later, the puppy's fine. It's not like he had to go to the vet. It's not like he had to get surgery or whatever like that. Like, you know, and he's in a better, you know, he's better taken care of now. Like, to say that that person belongs in jail, to have their life ruined, to have that on their record, all that shit, as well as the societal cost, I think is little, is batty, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't think their life would be ruined by a week in the clink.
It goes on your record. And
yeah,
on your record is a felon.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, is that
what I'm saying? And then you can't get a job again. Like, you can't get your treatment.
You can't get a job because you chucked the puppy.
That's what I'm saying, but you shouldn't be.
I wouldn't be upset if people knew that she was a puppy if she threw a puppy, bro. Like, I'm not gonna get upset if she gets doxed up right now.
But that's not the kind of country we live in, though. Like, it's like that kind of stuff. I just think that we're way too quick to ruin people's lives, like, for, you know, cringy shit they do. And I don't know, man. I don't think it solves anything. I think you do treatment, you improve the world, right? You don't make it. It's like you just have one more pissed off person, you know, who learned some new tricks in the clink, right?
Well, I just wanted to go ahead and refer to at least one of the tweets that Pippi put out here when she was talking with you. There we go. So throwing kids or animals on the concrete deserves some time, in my opinion. Like in detention, not prison, and rehabilitation, no definitely yes, and blacklisted. She needs mental health rehab for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they don't belong in the jail cell. You know, like I said, only rapists and murderers belong in jail, right? Like, I
mean, because we're talking about jail, not like a lengthy prison term, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the penalties would be for that, but
I mean, because we're talking. I mean, we're not.
Sure,
we're talking about like.
That's not what the penalty is.
So, I mean, like
animal cruelty, not jail offense usually, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was that thing that Trump said that he made the animal abuse a federal crime, right?
Animal cruelty.
Which I mean, like, literally, you look like if you try to argue against, you know, animal abusers deserve more clemency, then it's a lot harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to make that case than to say
I'm going to make this case because I'm a prison abolitionist. It's not because I'm a fucking puppy hater. It's because I hate jail. I don't think that improves anything. You know?
No, I get it, but I mean, I guess I just look for some situations. I mean, just
in states where animal cruelty is considered a misdemeanor, individuals who commit intentional cruelty crimes against animals can receive at most 1 year in jail and $1,000 fine. Wow.
Yeah, I mean that sounds reasonable if you seriously do hurt an animal.
Yeah, like Michael Vick deserved a year in jail for gassing dogs, right?
Yeah, I mean I'd say the fuck so that he deserved that shit. You know,
if you have one fucked up incident where you're clearly high,
then I would probably just say throw them in jail for like a week, not prison, and then.
That's what I'm saying. I know, but we have to have a different perspective on jail because throwing someone in jail for a week is still, in a lot of ways, just as bad as throwing them in jail for a year. You know, like it causes them to be involved in the carceral system. That's on their record. They get out. They're on probation.
Even if you could go to jail for like a week and it'd be a misdemeanor.
I mean, yeah, but it's still on your record.
I would still want to see that on somebody's record too.
Oh man, you're pretty tough, man. I'm saying we need to completely rephrase.
But look, really, like how I said at the start of this thing, like maybe I'm a little bit more on that side because it feels like it hit me more. When it comes to animals,
I was a pet owner too, like
but I mean, like
I love animals too. I also hate jail. I think our jails they do more harm than they do good. They don't improve anything. They don't you punish the person, but at what cost? You're also punishing the larger society. You're just causing this person for the rest of their lives to be a drain on society.
I'm punishing a bunch of animal abusers rather than people that are suffering from what brokenness, so they sell a few drugs. I wouldn't be wouldn't be upset if we, like I said, if we switched the direction of the incarceration process towards more animal abusers and less drug offenders.
Yeah, but it's not. We don't have to have either or.
Yeah,
we shouldn't have either.
Yeah, I would rather, but see, on top of that, I would still rather have one.
Man, you're a mean motherfucker.
But no, I mean, look, I hear you from the point of view, because you're talking about it like, you know, somebody that is sympathizing, or at least a little bit, with having done dumb shit when you're on drugs.
Yeah, there's that, but it's also like me learning about prison abolition recently, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, like, prison abolition, when it comes
no other
to,
countly does what we do.
Right?
Like, other countries have treatment.
But
They
you
don't
know,
have
that's the
mass
other part of
incarceration.
it. If we're talking about jailing and putting a focus on jailing animal abusers versus drug offenders, I'm pretty sure you'd still shrink down the prison population, because I'd like to believe there are less fucked up people that would do shit like that.
I mean, if anybody who's ever hurt a puppy was in jail, it would probably be just as many people. You know,
like hurt a puppy like that.
I mean, it wasn't that the dog wasn't even hurt that bad. Is what I'm saying. It's not like she like snapped its leg or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like I wouldn't even get at it from that angle. I would just be like, unless you have, you know, there's clearly extenuating circumstances that if you cure those problems, which you could do a lot of progress on addiction and mental health problems with treatment, and you're only gonna make it worse.
So wait a minute. So let's say, because that's the other part of this. So like it really seems like the drug part of it is what you're hampering on. So if the lady wasn't on, right, but I'm saying if the lady wasn't on drugs,
if she was sober and she did that, I would be much more inclined to lock her up. Yes.
Yeah, you see, that's what I'm saying. You see, and like for me, I guess I'm not giving her that leeway, because I still feel that even though she was on drugs, she deserved to be held accountable outside of just getting rehab and therapy. That's what I'm saying.
That wouldn't have happened if she wasn't on drugs, right? I think you can say I'm guarantee you that wouldn't have happened, right? Mm-hmm. And so you could say she had no history of that in her life before that, and then you can do a situation where you help her, right? You help her, and then you help any of her future victims, right? Animals that she might hurt down the line, by doing treatment. But if you put her in jail, you're not helping anybody, and you're just costing society. She's going to be a drag on society from that point on, right? She'll never be able to have.
I mean, I still don't think you don't have to do one thing or the other. You could I would still, like I said, if there's
the treatment is also a punishment. That's the thing. You know, putting somebody in mandatory outpatient is a serious punishment.
Yeah, but I would. I wouldn't do the outpatient. I would still do it like if it's an inpatient thing for somebody that's on drugs and does something like this, and they have to be locked up in the hospital for like a couple weeks or something like that, I'd feel better about it too. I'd accept that. I'd accept that part too.
Oh man, carceral feminists.
But all right, so. Why don't we go on to our next story, which I thought was pretty interesting. There was, we talked religion last time a little bit, but this one caught my eye here. Not the ad, which is unfortunate timing, but or fortunate timing. But there was a priest who was arrested for having a threesome with two, I didn't even know the plural for dominatrix, but two corset wearing dominatrixes. Yeah. Yes, on a church altar, no less. So a Louisiana priest was arrested for filming himself having sex with two dominatrixes on the altar at his Catholic church, a report said Thursday. The priest, identified by NOLA.com as Reverend Travis Clark, right? That's the way you say it. Busted after a passerby saw the lights on later than usual on September 30th and peeked inside Saints Peter and Paul Roman Catholic Church in Pearl River. The unidentified witness saw the half-naked priest having sex with the two women who were dressed in corsets, high-heeled boots. The altar was also adorned with stage lighting, several sex toys, and a cell phone mounted on top of a tripod that was recording the act. The witness took video footage of the unholy
he was
trinity.
recording it too?
Yeah, of the unholy trinity, then called the police. Cops arrested Clark along with the two altar servers. These are altar servers, I guess. 41-year-old Mindy Dixon and 23-year-old Melissa
they
Chang.
weren't altar servers.
That's what it says.
Just,
his two altar servers.
yeah. I mean, they're making a joke.
I know. I'm playing along with it.
No.
It says the women reportedly told the cops that they were at the church to film role play with the priest. The cops determined that everything went on that night was consensual, but arrested the trio for obscenity charges because they were in view of the public.
What?
Bullshit. So that's one. Hold on.
I suppose you want to lock them up too, don't you?
No, I really don't think they. I think I'm gonna come up with a more lenient. I don't think they were hurting anybody. I mean, okay, if they were, slapping a puppy in the middle of all this stuff, I'd feel differently. But in this situation, I mean, what are they doing? They're having a good time. Screw it. Let them
like
live.
They were slapping each other, right?
Yeah. Fuck it. They're participating. It's consensual. The puppy didn't consent to being tossed like a rag doll. But okay, so Nola added that Dixon, who is also an adult film actress, had posted on the social media a day prior that she was traveling in New Orleans area to meet up with another dominatrix to defile the house of God. The Archbishop of New Orleans Archdiocese visited the church to perform a ritual that would restore the sanctity of the altar. Clark, who ordained in 2013, was suspended from the Archdiocese following his arrest.
Oh, so he can't do that, but you can, pedo kids for generations.
That is exactly my first thought. That is exactly my first thought. Here we go. We have a priest enjoying the pleasures of the flesh in the way you're supposed to. You're not my way, but, the way you're supposed to, in the sense that it was consensual. There were adults in the room. Nobody was being harmed. And it seemed like everybody, there was a free-for-all. They were consented to being recorded. There were sex toys involved. And it was because of one noisy bitch that goes over there and meddles her nose into some business that wasn't none of hers. I'm going to assume it sounds like something like that. I'm going to get tagged for being sexist, though, aren't I? But one nosy neighbor notices the lights on and then doesn't just walk away, decides to record. And then the cops have to drum up something because I guess they're so hurt that a priest would engage in a menage a trois. I mean, it sounds exactly like there was some kind of issue where they had to think of something to just go ahead and charge the priest with, and this is what they came up with: obscenity. They weren't having sex on the sidewalk. They weren't They were recording, I'm assuming, in a place that they wanted well lit with, pretty good acoustics just for. It absolutely does sound like they were just trying to go ahead and make something. One of them is a film actress, right? An adult film actress. So, what can you? Yes, both of these dominatrices just seemed like they were there to do what they were planning to do. And look,
you know what though? I'm thinking about it a little bit more. Like, it sounds like this wasn't the first time this guy was doing this.
No, right? By no means. I don't think you just go from 0 to 100 like that. I think you kind of ease your way in, and it wasn't the first time they had sex in the church on top of
exactly. So like same thing. Like I don't want. It's not an either or, right? Like I want the pedo priests to lose their jobs, and this guy probably deserved to lose his job too, right?
Oh, wait a minute. Am I going to come up with the soft view?
He's filming a porno in the church, right? Like, it's not like he was doing it in his room, right? Like,
yeah, that's a little bit. That's a little.
And I wouldn't say he should lose his job for that, but he's like doing it.
His job is to be a priest.
Provocatively.
His job is to be a priest. So
and this guy could walk by and see it, so that was probably part of the thing for him. He was probably like into some kinky shit anyway, and then not that I think.
Look, I think there's an issue when it comes to priests having to be celibate. in
exactly.
Catholicism. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's just that, like the whole pedo priest thing. I'm not gonna go ahead and say that these people turn pedophile because they're celibate, But I think there has to be a high degree of sexual
Yeah. I don't think it
repression that comes
helps.
with having to
Yeah.
live a life like that.
Yeah, I think I think most of those priests probably wouldn't have done pedophilia if they hadn't been priests, Like I think it's
I think that's a
connected
means
to
for
the whole
access for
power
a lot of
dynamic.
them.
Exactly. I think they had the opportunity and they had the power. And I think it's a lot of times with those pedos, it's about the power dynamic too. It's not just about the sexual aspect of it. It's
Yes,
about that.
and yes, as a priest,
Dominating
you're in
people.
a position of authority. Let's be real.
And then, like, I know that's common among clergy. Like, I had a friend who was a dominatrix in New York, and she told me that the vast majority of their clients, like 90% of them plus, were like Hasidics, from like Williamsburg area, like very devoted religious people. I think a lot of that causes you to have, to be punished like that, right? Like to be whipped. I think it goes along with it because that's always been a thing. Like
Do you think that they deserve to be
what were the guys
arrested
who used
though?
to whip themselves?
Like sadists.
No, the priest. There was like a religious
Oh, I
thing
know what you're
back in
talking
the
about.
day.
Oh, I can't remember
Not the
exactly what from the Da
Gnostics.
Vinci Code.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they call him. It was some kind of
I'm
monk,
saying.
but I know what you're talking about. Like he would flail himself.
Yeah, they like to be punished. I think that comes along with the religious devotion. Like,
Maybe, but I mean, do you think that the Catholic Church would be better served if priests were allowed?
priests were allowed to marry?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that we talk about how there's some disconnection between the teachings of the church and the actual dogma of the practice of it was one of the and if you read the Bible, one of the things Jesus got a lot of flack for was giving women a place in his what is in his group, right? He elevated women to positions of power if you read the Bible, and he took criticism for running against the norm at the time from the Pharisees. And for the life of me, I still can't understand why you can't have women be priests.
I mean, I think that traces back to the original, not so much the morality of the faith, like the catechism of the faith, but more to do with the power structure of it, like the church. And like the reason that Catholicism or Christianity, whatever you would call it, originally caught on in the Roman times, I think it was because the ruling class saw it as a means to keep the lower classes in check.
Right.
Right.
I mean, when you talk about I forgot the Roman emperor at the time that made the Catholicism
Constantine.
Constantine, right? In this sign you will conquer, all that crap. That he pulled on it, but it that plays more into that whole idea of utilizing religion beyond what it should be, what should be its purpose. But I think in the modern time, that's why I don't really have a good answer for why aren't women allowed to be priests in our current church, right? In the modern church.
I think that the division, like we were talking about with based Pope the other night, right? The division in the modern church is about, traditionalists who don't want to change anything because they're scared of change in and of itself, and others who are trying to adjust to the times and be, more progressive or just more, not regressive, right?
Right.
So that's the division you have, and it's like they've been talking about this since we were kids, right? Like we're running out of priests, right? Like they get a lot of priests from like the global south now, right? Like they come in because we just don't have as much American priest or below replacement rate or whatever. And I think if you had it's like
I could tell you straight up, if I was younger and priests were allowed to get married, I probably would have gone that way.
Really?
Yeah, I would have done it.
I mean, I might have considered it, but like, I think that Catholics are kind of unique, right? Like we talked about the other night with like a lot of the Protestant religions, their mentality is that they are either if you're successful in life, it's because you're a holy person, right? Like that's
Right.
the mentality they have is like if things are good for you, it's because you're doing something right. It's not you have to live by this code in order to be rewarded. It's if you're being rewarded, it's because you're doing something
it's like
right.
the opposite of what.
And that's not part of Catholicism. Right?
No.
Like Catholicism is not at all like that. You have to confess your sins and you have to try to do better and yada, yada, yada. And I think that puts them sort of in a unique situation where they are constantly trying to like maintain that relationship with their flock in, a world that's, obviously different. So I don't know. I think that they think that, the priests have to be on a pedestal, like they're this paragon of virtue, like they're married to the church. They don't need
And that's what
pleasures of the flesh.
Right, and that's what they say about nuns too, is that they're married to God.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they should be fucking each other, like that would solve all these problems if they had like, nuns and priests weren't allowed to fuck unless it was a nun or a priest, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean, I guess in keeping in with the religion, I would say that maybe have that guideline of marriage being a part of it, just because that's part of the whole sort of purity part of the religion. I mean, I think that would be a big step still.
There's that one. I know there's at least a handful. Like in my parents lived in Atlanta. I remember one of the priests at their church he was married somehow. Like he had gotten married when he was Episcopalian, and then he became converted, and he was still married.
So they allowed him?
Maybe I'm getting that wrong. I forget what happened. It was some sort of situation like that where he had been Episcopalian, and he got married while he was an Episcopalian, and then he remember he was like in divinity school when he converted. I forget the details, but it was something like that, so that he was able to keep his wife after he was a priest, and that didn't, the church didn't burn down or whatever.
I'm pretty sure Jesus was fine with it. I'm still of the belief that he was probably married himself at some point, but that's he was
definitely banging. Yeah, I don't even think he was married. I think he was, polyamorous, right?
I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far. I think he was probably monogamous because
they had a big group of traveling. I think it was very close. I think the apostles and their crew. Like I think they were doing lots of fucking. I mean, that's just the way I think of it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of that whole the whole Da Vinci Code conspiracy. Cue the,
play it.
I hit it.
Yeah, well, man, I don't know.
I do buy into it a little bit. I think that I wouldn't be, but because, and this is the reason that I would buy into it, because if there was some sort of descendant of the actual Jesus, then it completely undermines the authority of the church. Because why am I going to listen to some institution when the
God's children exist?
Exactly.
I mean, it's like. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, I'd like to believe some of the fairy tale aspect of it, but it's like, if he was God's son, like, if he was truly divine, then, like, he either purposely left descendants or didn't, like, it wouldn't have been, like, he wouldn't have accidentally impregnated somebody.
No,
right?
And I think it would be very much deliberate, but I also think that the institutions that we have are capable of.
Yeah, it would be kind of ridiculous I feel like at that time, in the Levant, like they were all about, I mean, they're still like that, right? They're still about having like big families and all. I think it would be completely abnormal for him to not have married.
Yeah.
Especially because he didn't come out of the closet until he was 30. So the first 30 years of his life, he was just living like a normal dude. Right. Like people were suspicious of him.
Right. If you're, I
guess he could have been gay.
I mean, imagine what that would do to right wingers.
Gay commie Jesus.
Right. Imagine Jesus as a gay socialist. That would be that would blow people apart.
The episode that gay-faced Pope and the gay commie Jesus.
Yeah, that would throw right wingers for a tizzy to realize that their savior is actually homosexual, but then at the same time he was also socialist and.
Do you think they would be
Had
more upset that
some of
he
the
was
best-
a communist or that he was gay?
The gay thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they would rather
Definitely.
have
Definitely.
a strict communist than
I think they
gay
would probably
capitalist.
be no, because they could justify the communism. They could make it could be like, well, I mean, he's supposed to be a giving person and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, the gay thing, they would just lose their fucking minds, especially. But
What do you think? Do you think?
But-
do you think he was divine? What do you think? You
what,
believe any of that?
like the actual Jesus and everything. If
What part of the story do you believe? Do you believe any of it?
look, I think part of it is symbolism. I think part of it is
Mary impregnated by an angel.
I mean, some parts of that I do still kind of want to believe, at least at minimum.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I obviously want to believe it. I'd love to believe it.
yeah,
Like,
and like for me, I'm not gonna go and say that my faith is completely fortified in that sense too, because I mean, it's hard to just go off of blind faith when you don't function in the world that way,
mhm.
But if Jesus
Should have
had,
a theological show.
huh? Yeah, I
Should
mean, we're
become a
really going
theological
theological. If you haven't tell them by now, we're both Catholic school students.
I don't know if I'd call myself very Catholic, but I grew up very Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I grew up Catholic the same way. So, I mean, look, I don't think, I mean, I won't, I mean, for me, yeah, I'll say that. You know what? If Jesus was at least in part divine, he walked the earth as able to do certain things, maybe, but at the same time, I don't think that's the important part of what we should think about when it comes to Jesus either. I think it's the stuff that we said about him wanting to push a message of helping others and not being greedy and that sort of stuff. I don't think focusing on his divinity one way or another is what he would want us to have been left with. I think it would be the message behind it.
I think that's true. I think, I mean, I don't know. I feel like for a while I was like kind of with the, like agnostic, like, like God did the Big Bang. Was kind of my theory. Like,
yeah, that was where that's kind of where I'm at too.
Scientifically, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I like that. I don't know. Maybe I need to like do some soul searching. See if I sense God's presence in the like that Wordsworth poem, I forget.
But see, I think that's really the problem when it comes to religion is people focus on too much of divinity, miracles,
Definitely.
all that kind of stuff, rather than what was the moral argument?
Cool part, man. That's the fun.
Yeah,
part.
of course. That's
like,
I mean
the
that's
base
that.
shit.
Yeah, but I mean
Walking on water.
Yeah, and like say there was a man that could walk on water and could raise the dead and heal the sick. I mean, it was not much of a leap to go ahead and say that. All right, then maybe he was divine. If he did rise from the grave and all that sort of thing, maybe he was divine. But I still think at the end of the day, that's not what the focus should be. It should be on love one another as I have loved you.
Rose
That
from the grave. That'd be so tight if that happened.
And you.
But the way I see it is like if any of that is wrong, the whole thing is bullshit. Like it's like the thing with Mary is like. I mean, if I was her and I got knocked up, that's the kind of story I would make up, right? Like.
But that's the other part of it is if you're gonna say that that's a story that she would have had to make up and everything, she wouldn't have had to make up a story. She could have just married Joseph and then just said the baby came early.
Yeah, isn't that what she did?
No, she told that to everybody else, but in the story. She wouldn't have had to tell Joseph that. She told Joseph that, and then he didn't believe her, and then
all right,
yeah,
maybe it's real then.
So I mean, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no, but I also think that the focus should be on.
I think we live in a simulation, right? Like I think we live in.
I mean,
I believe in the simulation theory. Mm-hmm. Like we are our computer program running in a futuristic
society
hard drive.
Right.
No, I think it's like we're a program, right? It's just a very good program. like the Matrix, right? Like
Right.
I think it's more sort of like they have parameters they set, and, and it's like the things that happen are more kind of like like a fluke in the coding or whatever. Like if he was divine, like I think you can explain it with that, right? Like there was just like a flaw in the programming, or
or you
above
know,
that
or you
gives
could say,
powers.
or you
Like
could say he
Nintendo and
was,
something.
or you could say he was, part of, maybe he was, since they characterized him as divine, maybe he was a programmer that came into the simulation.
Yeah, something like that. Or yeah, like I that could be true, or it was just like there was an error in his programming and it gave him superpowers, right? And delusions of grandeur or whatever. Like,
Well, because I don't think his, if you're talking about like grandeur and everything, I don't think it was ever a thing about, because it, like, although he claimed himself to be divine.
I thought he was God's son. That's about as deluded as grandeur.
No,
as you
but
can do,
but think about how
know?
but did he carry himself in a way that it wasn't like, it wasn't a thing where I want to be,
Yeah,
like,
he lived modestly. Yeah.
yes, that's what I mean. Like, I'm God's son. Adorn me with riches and give me all your wealth. That's not what
he lived like a cult leader. Like
essentially, right?
like
Essentially, but think about it. If you're in a position where people actually believe that's who you are, right? You can take advantage of them and enrich yourself and do.
I mean,
and
kind of did that, right?
And that's not the story we walk away with. It wasn't about money.
But he was like, David Koresh or someone like that, right? Just had a small devoted following who just, answered his every beck and call. And that's like just from what we know about it, like they were all written, years after he was already dead. It wasn't like they were writing it.
The ones that were actually written by the people that were there aren't even included in the Gospels.
Exactly.
And that's been the part that always annoyed me, is like each of these were direct disciples of him, and they don't even go on to include that into the actual faith, and that never sat well with me. There was a whole gospel of Mary Magdalene, right? And why isn't that there?
That's real?
Yeah. Yes. No, that's absolutely real.
We don't have that though.
Yeah, we do.
Have that book. Really?
Yeah, there's like
I know there's like the Gospel of Thomas.
And there's Gospel of Thomas. There's a Gospel of Peter. I'm telling you, all of them wrote Gospels.
Yeah.
But the only thing that really was surviving was St. Paul's letters and a few other books. But what they wanted to do was they wanted to craft a very succinct.
St. Paul's letters. I forgot about those.
Yeah. So, but
I'm always interested in like the historical references to him. Like there's references to the fact that he rose from the dead too. Mm-hmm. Like I find that fascinating. That like the Roman, I forget who it was, like one of the the scribes or the political leaders at the time made mention of the fact that he was a cult leader who had claimed to have been risen from the dead. And I think I even feel like he didn't call him a cult leader. He was nicer than that. Like he sounded like he might have believed it. Which is fascinating, right? Because like if it'd be one thing if somebody was thought to be dead, right, and then they showed up again, right? But if the state executes somebody, they're gonna see that he's dead, right?
You ever seen that Netflix show Messiah?
Yeah,
did
you? Pretty tight.
I liked it. I wish they would have came back with a second season, but it got canceled. But
what do you think? Do you think he was divine?
Oh yeah, of course he was. By the end of it, did you see the ending?
But he was working with the Russians, though.
Did you see the ending?
What happened at the end? I forgot.
He was getting taken back, and the plane crashed, and then everybody died, and then he went around resurrecting everybody.
Oh, that's right.
And it was like, oh shit! And you had a bunch of people that got their face shook really easily, but I thought that dude did a really good job of portraying Jesus in a way that made coherent sense with how he's written about in the gospel. Because although he claims to be divine, although he claims to be the Son of God, it wasn't a thing of superiority in that sense, because it was more about trying to teach everybody a moral lesson.
Yeah, that guy was pretty based. I
But
feel like if I met Jesus or somebody who was divine, I feel like I would know. I feel like I get good vibes from people. Like I'm good at like picking up people's
but
vibes.
all right, we got it. We've gone off on a religious track again, which I hope you all found fascinating. But
I had to like make up for all the talk of like hitting puppies.
Wait, you didn't get to see what I did on the stream, did you?
No,
Oh,
I mean, I'm looking at what you're showing me.
all right. So so you saw the whole puppy picture in front of you?
Yeah.
All right, so you're gonna want to watch that back and see what I played for everybody.
What?
Yeah, it'll spoil the surprise. All right.
I'm not gonna watch it. I don't watch our streams afterwards.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, the whole time while you were talking and making your argument, I was playing that Sarah McLachlan song.
Oh, which one?
The Sarah McLachlan song.
Ain't nobody watching
the
tonight.
arms of an angel.
Like, like I said before, like I would let that dog bite her. Like I don't have a problem with not punishing her. I have a problem with like the punishment also punishing the country, the greater societal punishment that comes of it. I think it's like I'm like Thanos, right? Like that Tim Pool quote.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do a harm minimization. I don't care about punishing her. Like that's not my goal. My goal is to like
let's go to
Did you see
Mr.
that, though?
What's up?
Tim Pool and Sam Cedar are gonna have a debate on Monday.
Oh yeah, I caught that. So maybe we should live stream that.
That'd be fucking tight.
All right. So everybody, this is the next story we got. Of course, Lindsey Graham is under close competition.
My man Jamie.
Harrison, right?
Yeah, Jamie Harrison.
Jamie Harrison. He's under close competition.
Lobbyist. I mean, not like
No, but he is. It's a very competitive race. Surprisingly enough, it's a very competitive race.
Democrat. He's
he's not. But I would still love to see
Lindsey
Graham lose. But nevertheless, Lindsey Graham. First of all, yes, Mr. Lindsey Graham. Let's see. The first thing is the latest debate with the South Carolina senator was recently canceled. There you go. Sadly enough, it was canceled because he refused to take a COVID test. You believe that? The audacity.
I don't know. I understand that. I don't get that. I think because he has it, right? Why else would he?
Why would he refuse to take a COVID test? Unless it was because he didn't have it.
He would refuse it because he has it, right? Mm-hmm. So, I think like if he was trying to get out, like if he had a lead and didn't want to do the debate, I could see him doing it.
But is in it's a very, very close race.
It's like neck and neck, yeah.
So I mean, the last couple of polls show them tied. And it could very well hurt him because apparently Harrison did very well at these last couple of debates.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. I don't know how. Like just watching these Republicans try to campaign.
This is a quote from the article. Either Lindsey Graham knows that he has the virus, or suspects that he has the virus. Either way, Graham's behavior is Trump level irresponsible. This is from the article. So it is not.
Says this, or is it a quote?
This is just from the authors of the article said this. It is irresponsible. It is Trump level irresponsible. It is Trump level irresponsible. It is not difficult to get a test. It only takes a few minutes and could save lives. The debate should be happening. The South Carolina Senate race is a dead heat. The voters deserve to be hearing from their two candidates on the same stage. There is no reason for Lindsey Graham, given his close proximity to the Trump coronavirus outbreak, not to be tested.
Yeah.
So
he must have it.
I mean, he either has it or he's scared that he has it. Now, as we know now, Trump went ahead and turned chicken shit and backed out of the next debate because of it was going to be virtual. And you have
Biden.
And the only chance Trump has to come back, let's be real, he has to whoop Biden's ass at the debate a couple times. And the fact that he's not going to get a chance to even do that, that just hurts him even more. But let's go ahead and play this video for everybody. Just to.
So anyway.
Yep.
Well, this is what's going on, and then Lindsey Graham says this shit.
Yes,
today.
So that's what's going on, and then Lindsey Graham goes ahead and says this shit. So.
I care about everybody. If you're a young African American, an immigrant, you can go anywhere in this
can't see
state.
it. Is it
You just
on?
need to be conservative, not liberal. I care about everybody. If you're a young African American, an immigrant, you can go anywhere in this state. You just need to be conservative, not liberal.
Oh, sorry about that.
What's he saying?
Well,
Was there more to the quote than that?
No, that was it. That was the whole video. 10 seconds of.
What was the context? I don't understand. I need to see the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really got the context for us.
I can't believe he would just say that like that.
But I mean, I don't know how well context could make up for it. The best case I say is he was telling a joke.
Or like he was talking about something before, like he was saying like liberals are just, you know, or like something. If he was trying to say something about like the way liberals behave, maybe beforehand is the only thing I was thinking of. Like something that would make it like not so explicitly, nakedly like white nationalists, you know. Because that's what that is. That's like white nationalism, I think. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
that's just very...
minorities are okay,
I mean,
as long as they are
either way,
my minorities.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
either way, that... I mean, that's a very good soundbite. And in a dead heat like what he's in, you don't want to have that. You don't need that.
Has there been backlash or anything?
I mean, there's been backlash from our people on the left.
No, but
of
has there
course.
been?
I mean, the polling hasn't come out.
He just gave the game away, though. Like, saying that your ideology reflects the way we'll treat you if you are, like, you know, what did he say? If you're a black kid or
if you're an immigrant and if you're a black kid or an immigrant and you can get anywhere you want to in this country as long as you're a conservative and not a liberal.
Yeah, what a fucking... Oh, my God. That just, I mean, I don't know, man, that fucking is, that's what we're up against. Like, that's the problem, right? Like, that's
absolutely
the way they think. They think that there should be a class of citizens for, like, agreeing with the theocratic world that they
who
want.
disliked us? Come on. That's some low ball shit. All right.
Maybe it was me.
But no. I mean, Graham
probably 2 upvotes and 1 downvote.
Yeah, that's about our quota. You know, we're getting about 50% on our likes and our dislikes. But we are getting pretty decent.
What if I dislike somebody's shit? Like, I would only dislike something if it was like, I don't know. I guess no, I don't dislike shit. Like, it would have to be like bad. I mean, I don't like bad quality or something, I guess, like bad.
But you know, I think this stream has had our best quality so far. You know, just
2 dudes talking. Like, I don't know what you expect it to be. You know, like, I think we're pretty cool.
Yeah,
like,
I think we're doing pretty decently on that. But you know, let's not get hampered down on the negativity. Let's move on towards the positivity. Really, and
someone just goes to
the positivity. The next positive story, we're gonna stay positive about this, is we're celebrating a birthday, and that is the Afghan War. Yeah.
The Taliban is supporting President Trump's candidacy.
Well, years after they fought in Afghanistan, the U.S. troops now watches their children deploy to the same war. With the war actually turning 19, that means that the people that turned 18 at the time of their deployment now have kids that are now getting deployed to the same war that they were in.
Has there been documented cases of this? Is it an actual person they talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why they have that picture there. See, you have a sergeant, I can't pronounce the name, and his father met in Afghanistan in 2012 when both were deployed to the country. So, fathers and sons.
What is that, Kaisenslautern?
Mothers and daughters, fathers and daughters, mixes of all of those are now serving together in the same war because
cool.
we've been.
They like it.
We've been in that region for that long, and that's the result of it. So, I'll just go ahead and read down the article a little bit. 19 years ago on Wednesday, a generation of Americans deployed to Afghanistan to root out the terrorists behind the 9/11 attacks, believing that fighting in the country more than 7,400 miles away, they would spare their children's need to do so. But as the U.S. war in Afghanistan begins its 20th year, some of those same service members have watched as their sons and daughters have deployed to continue the fight. When we started this, the people asked why I was going, and my response was, so my sons don't have to fight this war. Master Sergeant Trevor DeBoer, who has deployed to Afghanistan 3 times with the 20th Special Forces Group since 2002. Nearly 2 decades later, DeBoer's son, Peyton Sluss, has served in Afghanistan, including at a forward operating base, Fenty, north of Jalalabad, where DeBoer had served. My feet are walking in the same land as you were, the same land you were, Sluss said to his father in a joint interview with Stars and Stripes. The war and Afghanistan itself were very different when Sluss arrived in 2018. The U.S. had shifted its focus from eliminating 9/11 masterminds Al-Qaeda, who had given safe haven by the ruling Taliban, to rebuilding the country and training Afghan forces. At the same time, the Taliban regained strength and is launched an insurgency against the American-led coalition. Around 150 troops from the U.S.-led coalition had been killed in insider attacks as of 2018. Data from the military show insider killings peaked in 2012, according to the data. So, I mean, this is it's a pretty depressing.
There's no victory.
There is no.
They don't
there
say
there
what
really
the goal
is.
There's nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I gotta say, like it's a really depressing.
It's fucking infuriating, man.
And it's
all the death and destruction they do, and all the money it's costing us. We could have all the social democratic programs we talk about, like we could have had if we hadn't spent all that fucking money for, military contractors. It's all just going to the military-industrial complex. Like, that's what this is. It's been funneling trillions of dollars of money to a handful of fucking rich capitalist oligarchs, and they go over there and set the shit up for American franchises.
But man, imagine that, like, you fight, like my brother, like, cause I guess for me it's easier to kind of think about, because my brother has been up in the service since he was 18, and he got deployed over there in the Middle East several times, right? So, and now my niece is 16, so if she so chose, 2 years from now she could choose to enlist and be deployed over there where my brother was.
I wouldn't let my kids join the military. Mm-hmm. Not whatever. That's besides the point. It's just like
it's just depressing.
I'll bet you that guy too. Like, I'll bet you there's video of him from back in the day saying, like, I'm going to go fight this war so my kid doesn't have to be scared. My kid has freedom, and my kid gets to like live the American dream all over the fucking the world. And probably like there's probably like him shit talking like that's not. There's no frame by which that kind of record makes the American fighting man or woman look good, right?
No.
They're shitty at war because it's taken them this long to beat Afghanistan, And, like, okay, so, like, to be fair about what they say the mission is to train Afghan forces, right? So the purpose there is to... like the violence has gone down, though, right?
Well, there were lulls in it, but, I mean, we're not going to leave. We're just not going to leave.
Why not? That's what I'm saying. Why not? Like,
no, I mean, like, regardless of how things go, we're not leaving. So there's not... I mean, what's the point of training them and getting them to set up some kind of mirror image of our democracy or our governmental system?
Yeah.
Regardless of what they do and how successful it is, we're not gonna leave. We're not, and we're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna fight insurgencies after insurgencies. It's not gonna go anywhere. But let's move on here to the next story. Let's see. Let's go.
You don't want to mention the Taliban is endorsing Trump? I mean, that's a good endorsement as far as I can tell, though, right? Like, it doesn't matter that the Taliban is misguided, but, like, they honestly think that he'll end the war, so why wouldn't they want him to win, right?
That is very true. But let's move on to some COVID news.
I mean, that's more impressive to me, I would say, than, like, John Kerry endorsing Joe Biden, something like that. You know, like it's more impressive than like another like political figure endorsing somebody.
So Trump has personally pressured drug company CEOs repeatedly to speed up the vaccine.
Good. Like, why wouldn't he do that? No, again.
But I think he's trying to do. But I think he's trying to do so for political gain more than anything. But as we know, a lot of things can go wrong with a vaccine, and I guess that's the problem here. Is he's more worried about political expediency than making sure that he's going to pass out an actual working vaccine that isn't harmful to people. So, a likely contagious Donald Trump returned to the White House Monday, whipped off his mask and filmed the video, heavy on bluster, short on facts, and proclaimed the vaccines are coming momentarily. Trump, who tested positive, is now receiving medical care at the White House and remain laser focused on vaccine development, even as he has been dismissive of mask wearing and social distancing. Protections, health experts say, are critical to stopping the spread of the coronavirus. Even before his diagnosis, the president had taken time to calling drug companies to check on their vaccine trials, asking how much longer they'll take, and getting the pressure around his desires for a vaccine before Election Day. In his conversations with major drug makers working on coronavirus vaccines, Trump has been explicit in telling company CEOs that he'd like to see a vaccine move quicker than some of his health advisors say is reasonable. According to a person familiar with the conversations, he asked whether they believe they can speed up the timelines and has suggested, that he is concerned that the FDA's regulatory process could slow down progress.
He actually believes that shit, that like libertarian shit about like regulation, like slowing down innovation and stuff. He thinks that like there's too much red tape for everything, and like that's what'll make the world a better place if we just make it easier for people to rip you off. You know, like.
Well, he tweeted out that a new FDA rules make it more difficult for them to speed up vaccines for approval before the election day. Just a political hit job, he wrote.
Well, like he just said election day.
Okay,
what
so
let's just.
Let's get this out the way. There's a reason we have the fucking FDA.
You know? He shouldn't be able to say like him saying election day. He's overtly saying it's political by using election day as some sort of benchmark. Right?
Yeah,
he should be saying, "I want this shit as soon as possible to help Americans who are suffering with coronavirus." But then saying I want to get this shit before November so I can own Nancy Pelosi. Like that's basically what he's saying, you know.
Exactly. And so here's a quote from the doctor here. So there seems to be huge pressure from an administration that has been very effective at getting everything wrong. Esther Cho said, an emergency medical physician and a professor at Oregon Health and Science University. So it's how can this go well? A White House spokeswoman Sarah Matthews dismissed those concerns.
I don't think they're gonna put out a drug before it's ready. No matter what Trump says to them. It's not like they're gonna cheat the test because Trump is on their ass. But
given this, aren't you worried that they're gonna cut corners with them here, and we're gonna end up putting some shit that is dangerous into our system?
I think the corners were already cut. I think the corners were already cut in the R&D. I think they went with something that's not going to last very long in order to get something quickly, because that's, from what I understand, that's the difference in vaccine development. Like you can take your time and do it so the antibodies and all last forever, you know, like it's effective. Or you can do it so it lasts a year, and you got to.
And apparently they're undergoing human trials, so some people might already be getting the vaccine and they're okay.
Yeah, the drug company wouldn't put it out unless they were pretty confident it was good. And I think I'm not this isn't going to sound like me defending Trump, but or defending capitalism more likely, but he's, you know, his whole thing about being a businessman and making deals and shit like that has been complete nonsense, right? He's just gotten owned in every battle he tried to fight. He got owned by China, and then they gave him the virus. They owned him twice. That was a joke. I don't actually blame China for the virus. If anybody, I blame us.
Right.
But I think he's been cutting corners and just bending over backwards for every business interest in the country. They don't even have to give him much, you know. They give him a few a few acres of land to build a golf course, and then he'll completely rewrite the like mercury levels in the law or something. Like that's how crazy. It's like he's so cheap to buy off,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Like,
all right. So
and
I got.
so I'm building to this with something.
All right.
So he does this the whole time. Like he's making deals. He's doing this, that, and the other. He's gonna, working with the business leaders. Like that's his pitch, right? But it's just been bullshit. And then this one time, it might actually him being able to cajole them and like get in their faces and sort of like negotiate with them. If I ever thought this would ever work on anything, it would be this instance. Not that I think it'll work, but I'm saying this should be his moment to shine, right? Like, getting the drug companies to rush after he gave them everything they wanted, did everything they asked for. If he's going to get any return on his so-called business talents, this would be it. So I say you should get off Tony's case, man. Let him rush the pharma execs.
Well, all right, let's go on to the next story. Let's see if I can get this already here. I'm getting better at this, folks. All right. So New York has canceled a $900 million deferred payout to teachers because of the financial crisis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Austerity for us, not for them.
It seems like that's the
This
deal
is going to
here.
happen all across the country. They're not even going to they're not going to print money. They're not going to.
And this is from De Blasio. So the De Blasio administration, De Blasio, as we know, endorsed Bernie. Sadly, he doesn't seem very Bernie-esque. He doesn't seem very Bernie-esque in this thing.
I was reading about him back then, like when he endorsed Bernie. I looked into him a little bit. Like I think he was cool, like back in the day. Like, he was in like DSA and shit. I think like in the 80s. So that's cool.
The De Blasio
but
administration,
not now. But.
He canceled a long-standing. They said he canceled a long-scheduled $900 million deferred compensation payout to current and former teachers, and he cited the coronavirus-induced financial crisis. The payout due this month, the last in the series of 5 stemming from union negotiations between 2009 and 2011, was called off as the city attempts to limit the number of administration-wide layoffs. Let's see. First Deputy Mayor Dean Fullahan wrote to the teachers union in the city's desire to avoid the necessity for layoffs, and the retroactive payment of this time would therefore be fiscally irresponsible.
Wow. How do they get away with that?
I mean, come on. There's always going to be money for big businesses. There's always going to be money for
fucking cops.
Yeah, for cops. But no, when it comes to teachers, then all of a sudden, we broke. That's what that says.
And the other thing is, it's so easy to make money, basically, like in the market. Like if you have money in the pension fund and you invest it in like an index fund or a mutual fund or whatever, knowing that they're going to juice the economy, right? Like they're going to continue like injecting money into the stock market to keep prices up. Like you could have made that money just with a few decent trades, like, a few like, reasonable investments, right? Like it's. So, I don't even know. It's like what's their recourse? Is there anything teachers can do? No.
I mean, it's part of their budget. What can they do except protest? I mean, but it's not, like if it's for capitalism, they'll find the money. But the fact that it's for teachers, that's the only reason that we're talking about this. That's the only reason that there's any kind of deferment.
Pension fund, right? Like that's one of the municipal government's largest expenses. That's why they try not to do pensions anymore, right? Because it's like every big city has just like an exponentially growing number of people who are getting paid for life. People are living longer after retirement. It's like bankrupting a lot of these cities. Like Trump keeps talking about, like these poorly run democratic cities, right? It's not that they're poorly run; it's that they take care of their work, or they used to take care of their workers, right? Like they still do. Public sector unions are one of the only last remaining strongholds. So they have, people are owed their goddamn money, and like, I guess they'll have to sue for it. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's particularly egregious knowing they could have made the money off, decent investments. If they hadn't put it in the stupid pension fund or whatever.
I guess there's a one more story. I think we could save the rest for a little bit, but for next time. But I did want to go and retouch back on this particular issue because it seems to have gone by the wayside between everything else after the initial story broke. But here we go. So Tara Reade, as we know, accused Joe Biden of sexually assaulting her. And of course, anybody voting for Biden had to justify this and completely attack her and her motivations in coming forward and all that sort of thing. And it's gotten to a point where, as we've talked about before, KHIVE has been particularly abusive. And Tara Reade's daughter actually spoke out against the cyber stalking that Tara Reade has been having to go ahead and endure. I was just going to go ahead and play this video for everybody. Let's see.
Hello, my name is Michaela. This video is directed at those who have been posting about my life and the abuse that I endured as a child, physically and emotionally, by my biological father, Ted Dronin.
Is it on?
Ted lost his parental rights
Yeah,
in the
can you see it?
custody battle.
No,
I
it's just
was given
white screen.
a sealed name change and a protection order from him. We had zero contact until I was an adult when, in 2016, he hired a private investigator, a man named Stephen Wilkes. Ted and I were in contact for a period of 4 months.
Still white screen.
I attempted to speak with him about his abuse and confront him. It resulted in him gaslighting.
Yeah, man, that was pretty
and
cool with
speak about it. That was
You know,
our
it's plain, bro.
last interaction.
I checked the stream.
Chris Karsh and I knew each other for a period of about a year. He has been posting and claiming that we are best friends, yet due to his erratic behavior, I have had him blocked on social media and by phone for the past 4 years. Chris, I want nothing to do.
Oh, shoot.
You said protect my privacy. I've been questioning why I have stayed, yet due to his erratic behavior, I have had him blocked on social media and by phone for the past 4 years. Chris, I want nothing to do with you. To those of you who have been questioning why I have stayed silent, I have been trying to protect my privacy. I am not a public figure. I am proud of my mother for standing up and telling her story. My life and the abuse I endured as a child has nothing to do with what happened in 1993 with my mother working for Joe Biden. This video is officially me asking those of you posting about me in my life to stop. And Ted, if you see this, you know what you did, and I wish that you leave me alone.
Okay, so her daughter was addressing this particular kind of harassment that was going, where they were digging into some of the history with abuse from Tara's daughter. But I guess there was abuse by the father, and the KHIVE went and dug into that and started using that in some kind of way to attack their family. And they kept questioning why the daughter hasn't come forward to talk about the incident or talk about the sexual assault, and how they're using it as a means to attack her. And I mean
that she was a victim. Are you saying that as a way to attack her?
That
I
they're
didn't see the video, so I don't know what they were saying.
Well,
tell me.
Let's see. Can you see it from there?
All right, hold on. Just is the link in the chat?
Hold on. Let me.
Post the link in the chat.
Hold up. I got it. I got it here. There you go. Now you can see it.
Oh, there we go. Is her daughter?
Yeah, this is the daughter. And yeah, so somehow they go ahead and link the abuse the abusive home, I guess that she grew up in, to this sexual assault that Joe Biden did in 1993. And now we have to remember that Tara is a Democrat. You know, she's been considering herself a Democrat. She worked for a Democratic senator. And the reason that she decided to come forward now was because of the morality argument that Biden kept trying to base his campaign on.
Yeah.
You know, and I can understand her motivation in that way, because let's face it, if some dude that sexually assaulted you is coming forward saying he's gonna be the restorer of the soul of the nation, and you know what he did to you, that would piss you off enough to go ahead and say, really, you're the moral compass, this is what you did to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, he,
and this also speaks
I
to.
don't disagree.
No, but this also speaks to the other issue that we've talked about too. When is Kamala gonna go ahead and address the toxic behavior? I mean, look, we say that jokingly, but really, there's some bad shit out there from KHIVE people. There is. We've seen it, and
I guess, like,
the fact that it's not even addressed.
Yeah,
you know,
they're disgusting.
It's pretty.
I mean, I guess
it's pretty sick. It's pretty hypocritical.
I guess, like, yeah, I think that is something. Like, if you're going to make that a case about, like, Joe Biden being immoral, you know, not representing the soul of the nation,
right?
You should tie it in with the others, you know, with the harassment. Like, how, you know, the Democratic Party, like, they're sort of like the image of themselves that they, like, put out there is just not, like, we need to black pill the libs is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, like,
no,
we need
I
them
agree.
to know that they're not good. Like, so many people think that, like, that's all they have to do is, like, vote every 4 years and they're good people. You know, like
they did their part.
Yeah, like, it's just the whole, like, voting blue is all that matters thing is, like, just so insane to me, right? You're just putting so much trust in the Democrats. It's like what kind of relationship is that to have with your elected leaders when you can't pressure them, you know, like when you say that you just endorse their party, you know, because it exists. You know, that's a very, like, fatalistic way of looking at politics, right? Like, you can't change anything. You're just along for the ride. You're just picking teams. I don't know, man. It really sucks.
No, it is, and it's part of that team sport politics that we talk about. You know,
I just don't see what would be productive about it outside of that, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the conversation to have. It's like, you know, not to say that I've been convinced that, like, you as a leftist should vote for Biden or whatever like that, but, like, the sort of harm reduction concept, you know, is, like, it makes sense to me, right? Like, but to have that be your end all be all is very, very dark, right? That's all you know.
All right, so
as long as the party's not white nationalist, like, you're okay.
All right, well, let's see. We got time for one more story, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. And I did want to go ahead and jump into this one. All right, so here we go. So Breonna Taylor, as we know, was murdered when police broke into her apartment, right? And her boyfriend tried to shoot the intruders in self-defense. And we learned later from the jurors that they were not, they were basically prevented from seeking murder charges against the officers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And despite this woman being dead, a murder victim from armed police officers, not in uniform, not announced, they're continuing to try to go ahead and make her look bad and denigrate her character. So this photo went around from a Daily Mail, or I guess is who, let's see, who posted this article here.
British tabloid.
Yeah, that shows Breonna Taylor holding a gun, her boyfriend, holding the gun that her boyfriend tried to defend her with, then fired at the police. And we see John Iadarola put up this tweet. I thought it was pretty good, where while white conservatives posing with homemade rocket launcher equals a patriot, but a black woman touching a gun for even a split second is justification for murder. And that's what this amounts to, is they're trying to find some justification that they could throw on her.
Yeah.
For having her murdered and in cold blood, essentially. The fact that she hasn't received justice is a disgrace. They left her bleeding there. They did not get her. They did not get her any kind of medical help.
Man. Yeah. Because she did some gangster pose. I think everybody would do that, right? I'm pretty sure every gun owner takes pictures of themselves looking badass with their gun. That's
I'm pretty damn
much
sure.
a prerequisite.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that myself when I first got mine. You know,
exactly. Literally every single gun owner ever.
And look, and they tried to say, "Oh, well, the gun wasn't licensed." Well, the gun wasn't. No, the man was a licensed gun owner. He could carry in Kentucky.
But I'm sure the NRA came out and said that, right? The NRA defended him and said he was a good gun owner.
Yeah, I mean, we were disappointed by the NRA standing up for the rights of black folks. Black gun owners specifically. He was not named in the search warrant. Neither of them were. They were. They were not a target of. They were not a target
of a training day scenario. Like I literally think that they were trying to rob them. Like they thought there might be drug money stashed there, and they were trying to take it in the middle of the night. I feel like that's what happened, and everything else has just been covering up for it.
Yeah, and
what cop doesn't announce themselves? Why wouldn't they announce themselves?
I mean the
so sketchy.
It is, but this is the part that gets me here. So these were documents that that they took from they took text messages, and they they really try to push this thing here. So they put. The caption on the picture says "partners in crime." They're just so brazen. What they're trying to do is paint them as criminals.
The Daily Mail is a tabloid, man.
Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't stop right wingers from going and circulating shit around or using it as some kind of justification.
You just can't engage with that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's so toxic, and it's just you're not solving anything. You're not going to change anybody's mind because they don't actually believe what they're saying. They're just saying it because they're arguing in bad faith, right?
Yes.
I think 95%. I'm sure there's some rubes who buy it. I think the president happens to be one of them. Right. But I think most people who argue about it on the internet are doing it because they're arguing in bad faith, right?
Yes.
So there's no point in fighting with them about this.
No, and
if you meet your family members, people IRL that you are talking to, you should definitely argue about this shit with if they try to repeat bullshit.
Yes.
My brother-in-law is good liberal, he's Bernie voter and all, and he was saying the right-wing framing of the Kenosha shooting had seeped into his description of the events, and I was like, whoa.
But that's true. I mean, it's crazy how they form the narrative, and we end up having to go and operate off their basis of facts.
Yeah, because the fucking liberals aren't really liberal. They're right-wingers in disguise, right? They don't actually do the right messaging to push back on the fascists, right? It's
damn, I'm glad I saw this one. So the last thing we're gonna leave you all with is this particular tweet. They'll get it up here really fast. Boom. I am getting more and more impressed with myself here. So it turns out our vice president has now canceled his event and is headed back to Washington. He did so suddenly.
That's
You
what
know,
the chuds are doing now. They're not admitting they have it.
it would fall in line a little bit with what happened with Lindsey Graham, and we talked about that already. But to cancel his event suddenly and head back to Washington, and of course, you know, he was maskless for the end of the debate, even though, you know, it's stupid and his boss has COVID. Yeah. So I mean, are you sure that you're already decided that he has the bug then, right, Matt?
Yeah, why? I mean, yeah. I don't think you can deny it, right? Like, why else would he behave like that in a tight election like this when the president is sick and he has to be out on the trail? Like, somebody needs to be doing it, and he's not. Why would he do it? You know, go in. And wasn't he supposed to do something like ceremonial in Indiana?
Didn't he was. And they canceled everything on his schedule and just sent him back to Washington.
Yeah, man. I don't know why you would do that unless
he has it, or unless they're quitting. And I don't think they're. I mean, I still leave that.
Really, that liberal shit. Did you see that? They were saying he was going to resign. The dude John Cooper was posting.
Yeah,
that.
no,
Like,
he's not going to resign. Sorry,
they
people.
were negotiating. He was trying to get a deal to get him off. To get the charges against him in New York dropped. Like, that dude. Like, no way, right?
Right.
Like,
no, right. But
this
all right,
liberal fan fiction.
All right, everybody. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. I'm gonna thank everybody that went ahead and stopped in. Next time, if you stop in, go ahead, comment. You know, we got a few stories that we like to talk about, but we like to interact with people who have stuff they want to go ahead and say. It'd be nice to go ahead and hear from y'all. If you do go ahead and hear this back on replay, or if you're joining us for the first time, and make sure you can follow us on Twitter at unelectable.a. Follow me at _20 Westside, or follow Matt at DJ Tom Hanks. And we're gonna keep this going. I think we're doing well with the live streams and with the upgrades. Everything looks like it's running smoothly. Yeah, man.
I'm enjoying it. We get to chat. Are we gonna do the post show on Twitch or?
Yeah. All right. Now, if you all want to go ahead and join us on Twitch too, or anybody ever wants to go ahead and check out our post show, yeah, we're live on Twitch at what is it? Twitch.com/DJ Tom Hanks. So it's under Matt's handle, and that's where we'll be.
Yeah, man.